Welcome to Rediscover the Verde Valley. I'm Christian Oliva Del Rio. I'm President and CEO with the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. And with me today is Pam Miller. She's the outgoing CEO publisher for Verde Valley newspapers. Welcome. Hi. I'm happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So in your title, I had to say outgoing. That's a little depressing to me, but but we have a wonderful incoming new publisher, correct?
Yes, we do.
Tell us a little bit.
First off, I just want to say that my time in at the newspaper has just been phenomenal here.
Right.
Always a dream of mine to publish a small community newspaper, and dreams do come true.
Yeah.
And I've decided now that after 35 years in the newspaper business,
that's amazing.
That it's time to move on and see what else the world has to offer.
Right.
So it's been a great 14 years for me here in the Verde Valley.
Yeah.
So the best years of my career.
So you're not retiring, right? You're not leaving us completely. You're still going to be very involved in the community.
I am going to continue to be.
I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you don't leave us.
I love the Verde Valley.
Yeah.
It's a special part of Yavapai County. The people in the Verde Valley are so sincere and thoughtful and caring. I've never, it's just a phenomenal community.
Very welcoming,
So
right?
I am not retiring. I'm not going to Sun City for sure.
Well, that's good. You're going to be around.
I'm going to be around.
Good. So tell us a little bit about Babette is coming in, right?
Yes, Babette Cubitt
is
coming in. She's been with, now Verde Valley Newspapers is owned by Western Newspapers, and she has been with Western Newspapers for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
She started as the advertising manager at Prescott Newspapers, the Prescott Daily Courier on the other side of the mountain.
Right.
And then she was the general manager over there for about a year. And then she, about 2 years ago, became our regional advertising manager, director. Right. And she's done a phenomenal job going into each of our newspapers and motivating our advertising sales teams, and she is just a spitfire. She's just full of energy.
She's got a lot of history in newspapers, right?
I mean, she does have a lot of history, yes. Yep. She's got over 20 years experience at the New York Times.
Wow, yeah.
And then she did some consulting work across the United States, and then she came to Western 5 years ago.
Great.
So,
well, maybe we'll get her on this show next time. So
you know, she did say that when she officially had the seat. Right. So hold her to it.
Okay, I will. We'll get her in here for sure. But so 35 years you've been with Verde Valley Newspapers. That's a long time. You've seen a lot of changes and things happen over the years. How long have you actually been in the Verde Valley?
I've been in the Verde Valley 14 years.
Right. Okay, great. So, you know, can you tell us a little bit about your history here with the Verde Valley? You've got family here. You've grown with the community.
I've grown with the community. When I came over, I was a single mom. I have twin boys who are close to 22 now, and a daughter who is 19. Yeah. And when I first came to the Verde Valley, got involved in all kinds of organizations. Funny story. I met my husband here. Yep. You probably all know him,
Mr.
Leonard
Miller. We love Mr. Miller.
Yes, yes. And there's a funny story because we kept showing up at all the same places.
Right.
We'd show up at the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters. We'd show up at Rotary, Buena Vista Children's Services.
Sure.
We just always kept seeing each other.
Yeah.
So there sprung.
Kind of natural, right?
Natural. We actually officially call it a Rotary relationship.
Right. Well, I got to join Rotary and be a little bit more involved there. You meet great people, obviously.
You do meet great people. So, yeah.
That's great. So, you know, you've been involved with our chamber. I've just celebrated my 11 years this month with the chamber. And for as long as I've been involved, you've been around the chamber as well. So tell us a little bit about your experience with the chamber, if you can.
Well, it's been a phenomenal experience.
Right.
You know, the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce just does an exceptional job in the community. And I came on board. I was telling a story the other day. I think I actually was speaking with Babette at the time, and I said, you know, I really became part of the community when I started working and doing things with the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce.
Wow. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal place to network, to get to know great people. You know, some of the I don't want to call them old timers, but just some of the folks who had been in the Verde Valley for years and years and years and years. And so my experience with the chamber has been all good. So I really got to feel like I belonged.
Right.
And it really was a turning point for me in our community.
That's great.
So
you know, you said, you know, some of the old timers and stuff, but you know, the chamber has been around since 1948 is when our Verde Valley, it was the Verde Valley Chamber of Commerce then. So, you know, we've got quite a few years of experience in business, but Verde Valley Newspapers is celebrating a pretty huge milestone.
well, do you realize that that's identical to us?
Is it
the
really?
chamber?
See? Right.
And, right.
So
we're both 70
that's
70-year anniversary for both organizations.
Right. So a lot of partnerships there, right? I mean, partnerships are key in our valleys, and so you know, we definitely appreciate everything that Verde Valley Newspapers does for our community, and of course, we want to be a part of that too. So, tell us a little bit more about Verde Valley Newspapers. Can you give us a little bit of, you know, history when you guys started, and you know who?
Well, February 12th, 1948 is the official, that's the official start date for the Verde Independent.
Right.
We've had 2, 3, you know, I don't, the history is a little fuzzy for me until I really get here, but Western Newspapers, there was 2 or 3 owners, and then Western Newspapers, the Solweedle family, purchased the Verde Independent in 1979. That was the year I graduated. 1979, they purchased the Verde Independent. Right. And Dick Larson, who was the publisher for 18 years. I'm second only to Dick, but Dick was there for 18 years. So he published the newspaper for the 18 years prior to me coming here. You know, he saw the Verde Independent was a Wednesday, Friday publication, and he grew that to a Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday publication. The biggest change for us was really the invention of the internet. Yeah. And
I was going to say, we were kind of talking about that earlier, was, you know, what there's got to be some challenges there, right? With a print organization, you know, having to deal with online social media.
The wonderful thing about Western Newspapers is that they have always been forward thinking. They are not afraid to take a risk, and so right in the very beginning, they knew that the internet was going to be key to our business plan. And so, you know, very shortly after the internet hit, we were, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to, how do we tap into that? Yeah. We've got to have a presence there. Sure. We also are a strong marketing, you know, marketing company, so we knew that we had to have a presence there. Right. And that's when we then started. I think back then it was VerdeValleyNewspapers.com. Right. Can you imagine typing all the Verde Valley Newspapers?
Almost as bad as Cottonwood Chamber, Arizona.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
so,
we've all learned how to make our URLs a little bit smaller.
Yes, yes. So the URL got smaller in my tenure here. Right. So now we're verdenews.com. Right. And we really have become a 24/7 news agency. Right.
Yeah, and I could imagine that, you know, social media really ties into that. You can get, you know, people telling you in real time what's going on, and possibly suggesting ideas for stories. Right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So the Facebook has been a big tool for many newspapers across the nation, because Facebook really amazingly wants our content. Yeah. Now they're tailoring away from that a little bit just in the last 6 months, but they really want our content. Right. And they want us to be posting on their site. Right.
So you think the whole fake news thing might have something to do with why that's changing potentially? I mean, how to? No?
Well, I think that Facebook is like many other social media. It always comes down to a business model.
Right.
And it always comes down to the content, the sold advertising. So I think they're just, their model constantly is changing.
Yeah.
Constantly changing.
I tell you what, Pam, we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about social media and the paper and maybe some about the chamber.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Come back.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness.
When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley, presented by the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. Again, with me is Pam Miller, outgoing CEO and publisher for Verde Valley newspapers. I'm really having a hard time saying that. It's just going to be a little bit awkward to get used to. But I'm excited. I met Babette, and I love her. She's a great lady, and I think she's going to take us to some good places, right?
Oh, great. Great. I'm so excited. I have been working with her for... she's been 4 weeks full-time over here now.
Right.
And it's just incredible, her energy. She's just so, her passion is just off the charts for newspapers and where they can go and what can be done. And you know, just an energizer bunny.
Yeah, and I think she's a real good fit for the Verde Valley too. She really gets it, and you know, I'm excited to be working with her.
Right.
Anyway, so
I told her we'll all love her Southern twang.
Oh yeah,
you just have to remind her of that.
That's right. We won't let her lose it. You know, so we were kind of touching on you know, online presence and Facebook, social media, and that kind of stuff. So, you know, how does Verde Valley newspapers get its stories? What do you guys do to get out there and find out what's going on? And you know, we kind of talked about what are some of the same basic stories that are always told that you get to cover.
Well, you know, I have to say, Dan Engler has been our editor for 30 years, and he is a walking history book for Verde Valley newspapers, and he's well connected. You know, he makes his calls to the city on a regular basis, and all those old time. God, quit saying that. Hang me on that one. But you know, he's in contact with the movers and the shakers, and gets us the stories. And he's in the community too. He does. You know, he's always been worked big with Kids Against Hunger. He's coaching track over at the high school.
I was going to say, we're seeing a lot more, especially on social media and whatnot, about the track team and everything. So that's great.
He's a runner. He's such a runner. A runner by heart. And he's so he's just, that's where we get some of those news stories. He's got his finger on the pulse. And we've got a great staff. You know, knock on wood, they've all been really with us for at least a year. Sometimes we see a little bit of turn, but our sports guy has been there for over a year. Vito, our photographer, he's like kind of anywhere he needs to be.
Yeah.
You know, any kind, I mean, I hate to say crisis, but any kind of, you know, accident.
I'm telling you, Verde Valley
crisis.
News on Facebook, I'm always getting those feeds, and it seems like Vito is on top of all that stuff, right?
Yeah, shoots a
good.
video, does,
right.
you know,
He's
Dan
always
does that
there.
as well. Bill Helm is another one of, Bill Helm's our education writer.
Right.
So they, you know, the staff just does a phenomenally great job.
Right.
And we're also in this age of social media and the internet. We do get some tips. You know, we're more accessible.
Sure.
You know, Facebook, they're messaging us. You know,
Right.
so the reporters and Dan all have
Know where to
Facebook on
go.
their phones, and they're getting messages.
It's a great
from,
source.
For yeah. Well, what about this crime scene over in this neighborhood,
Yeah,
or what were all the sirens over here? And so we kind of get these tips,
Yeah.
and you know, the traditional way is the photographer and one of the reporters usually has got a scanner on
right,
them.
yeah.
And so we have a scanner that's in the
Right.
newsroom. We have a scanner that Vito carries around.
Sure.
But it's fun to see how the general public
Right.
is having that conduit,
Getting
that
involved, yeah,
access
right,
to
yeah.
us through our Facebook page. And then of course our Facebook page drives not as much traffic. It was up to 20% at one point in time.
yeah.
But again, with Facebook, you know, Facebook posts really only, an average Facebook post is like, gets 4% of the real audience that you are
Right.
reaching.
Right.
So it's grown to be much more limited over the time
Right.
it's evolved.
Right.
And so, but we again, messaging through Facebook.
Sure.
We have a place on verdenews.com.
I was going to say, yeah, you encourage people to
And
give you
encourage them.
information.
News tip, send it to us.
Right.
It's put on a woo-foo form.
Yeah.
We have a woo-foo forms
I
come in.
really want to know what
I know.
woo-woo stands
You know,
for.
I think I looked it up once, and I wished I could
Right.
remember. But I'll email it to
Yeah,
you
okay,
at a
great.
later date.
So tell us a little bit more. So obviously you guys are having to adjust with the whole online thing. You guys have plans for expanding in the whole online marketplace. What are your plans for?
What we are going to be doing in the next 6 months, verdenews.com, is we are going to be going to a digital subscription.
Right.
Which basically means that if you want to get your news on verdenews.com, there will be a subscription fee.
Right.
Just part of the change in newspapers'
Yeah.
business models.
Right.
You know, you brought up fake news earlier.
Yeah.
We hire reporters and editors
Right.
who have integrity
Yes.
and search out the truth. And those editors and reporters need to be paid.
Right.
And so our business model has to support
Exactly.
that that news that
Right.
we're generating. So we will be going to a digital
Are you
subscription.
seeing a little bit of a decline in print papers?
We have seen a decline
right.
in print papers.
Right.
It only makes sense. We do a phenomenal job with verdenews.com.
Yeah.
And if you can, everyone, what the numbers are 55, 60%, I bet they're even more. The last
Right.
time I looked at numbers, 55 to 60% of all of us were carrying around smartphones.
Exactly. You've got
and
news right
the
there.
information gets pushed to us,
Right.
and so we're reading it, you know, verdenews.com online.
Yeah.
And it's free. And so that's really
Right.
that's where a lot of people are getting their news.
Yeah.
We're finding that, you know, our subscriptions are decreasing. We actually showed an increase this past month over year. The print product, we're working on it.
Right.
I think people love to hold
Yeah, there's something
the
still.
print product. They love
right.
to have their coffee.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know, our subscribers, if you are there and we have a carrier that's down or something, or route that's
Yeah.
down, that phone rings off the hook.
Right.
It rings off the hook.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
I know that you've filled a couple routes there in the middle of the night delivering some
I do
papers.
anything to get the news
That's
out.
dedicated.
Anything to get the news out.
That's excellent.
So.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take another quick break. And when we come back, we're going to put you on the spot and talk a little bit more about the chamber.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, folks. Come on back.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
There are people who struggle with addiction and homelessness. Sometimes it may feel like there is nothing we can do to help.
But there is. You can make a tax-deductible donation and help those in need transition away from homelessness.
When you give someone a handout, you could actually be supporting an addiction.
A better life starts with better health, especially for those living in the streets.
Support solutions, not addictions. You can make a difference. Visit cottonwoodcares.com.
Welcome back to Rediscover the Verde Valley, presented by the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. Again with me is Pam Miller, Outgoing CEO, publisher. I'm sorry, I just, anyways, we're gonna talk a little bit about, let's talk a little bit about Rediscover the Verde Valley. We were just kind of shooting some thoughts back and forth here, but Rediscover the Verde Valley kind of was established several years back, right?
Well, you know, now that we were talking a little bit earlier, I think I was the chamber chair.
Right.
In right around 2011, 2012, maybe a little bit earlier than that. And rediscovering the Verde Valley was a group of folks that we brought together, the chamber, in those days, Lana and myself, and we had representatives. Actually, we had representatives from the Cornville,
from
Camp
all over
Verde,
the Verde Valley. It was great. Yeah.
And what we want, what we wanted to do is we wanted the locals to rediscover what was right here in our backyard.
So be a local tourist and discover what's going on here and how you could shop local and support your mom and pop shops, right? The small businesses, but also maybe some businesses that weren't necessarily chamber members, but were, you know, wanting some exposure. It was kind of a way for us to really open it up to the entire Verde Valley to bring business people in and give them some exposure and let people know what's right here. So that's kind of the whole idea I wanted to bring back with this program, is to you know, give some people some ideas. They could potentially come here and present information about their business or their events or whatever they may have going on. So like to see it go that way.
Yeah.
You know, we also kind of talk a little bit about the chamber and benefits to business people. You know, what your connection to the chamber way back was a way for you to get some exposure and get a little bit more involved in the community. But what do you think that maybe some of the benefits are to a business person coming in that really doesn't know what's going on?
Well, I think number one, it's the networking. You know, and I would encourage any chamber member to make it out to a chamber mixer, the chamber dinner, any chamber luncheon, any chamber breakfast, because there's always, you always get to meet someone new. And you don't, that service could be one that you need, or it could be one that your neighbor needs. And so I really think networking is and for me, and it was definitely the networking. Getting to know so many community businesses.
I mean, community leaders,
businesses. Oh, this guy does this. This guy does that. You know.
And like you said, it may not necessarily be a product or a service that you need right at that moment, but you might know somebody that does, and that's what it's about, is sharing that information, right?
That's always what the you know, the chamber is about, connecting. You know, one organization with another organization. The chamber might not do this whatever needs to be done, but if we can connect one with the other, then we have great success.
So, you know, we We like to think that the chamber does everything right, and unfortunately we don't. You know, where do you think that the chamber could improve, or what do you think that the chamber could do better?
Well, I think number one, just recently working in the membership and committee,
Yeah.
I think that what we said was we need to educate folks about what we really do.
Yeah.
What are the events that we really are responsible for?
Right.
I think, like for instance, the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how sometimes people just don't realize that
Yeah.
that we're behind that.
Right.
Verde River Day. I
Another
know I had
huge-
a fellow board member who was just shocked that we had anything to do with Verde River Day.
Right. They thought it was
And-
only a state parks
Yes,
event,
they thought it was a
even
state
though
park.
we're direct partners with state parks and
Right.
a couple other organizations. But yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's
really educating.
Right.
Really getting out and letting people know we are here and this is what we're doing.
right. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't tell our story very well, and you know, the paper is probably a really good resource for us to get some of that information out. So we do partner on a lot of events, and the newspaper is a huge supporter of the community, and I don't think that a lot of people realize that. You know, if it wasn't for Verde Valley newspapers, we wouldn't have Verde Valley Champions, you know, the Boomers and Beyond Primetime Fair, you know, Verde River Day. That's always been one. You've been chairing that committee for the 11 years that I've been involved with the chamber, so we sure do appreciate that. You know, there are a lot of other opportunities through the chamber. We do a printed directory that actually Verde Valley newspaper
Yeah.
is a big part of putting together, right?
Yes, yes. This
So-
is a huge resource for folks because it really does give you a good list of businesses that you can go
Yeah.
to.
You know,
Yeah.
this comes out in January, and this is what, 14,000 roughly circulation. I think
Yeah,
we get
right
quite a
about there,
few
right
out
about 14,
throughout the. And I actually keep one of these in my truck. You know, everybody keeps. You know, you might have your phone with the, you know, searching, and but this comes in real handy because you're going to have over 550 plus members that are in this book. And you know, listed alphabetically as well as by category, and it's a great resource guide for you to know trusted businesses in the area. So
And then your staff and volunteers are handing this out.
hand this
on
out, correct?
on a regular basis, day in and day out.
Relocation
all the
requests or
visitors.
tourists coming
you know,
in.
that's another thing that, you know, education-wise. How many people do we have come to the chamber office? It's
Yeah,
just-
we
it's an
had
incredible
over
number.
800 last month. So you know, people come into the area. So. Yep, and then we also have our monthly newsletter that comes out. We're also looking at the possibility of doing this strictly online as well, and there's some advertising, and there's always great information in here about different events and whatnot too. So
I know this goes around our office.
it does.
You know, we put, you know, everybody's initials and then
Yep,
we
so
put
everybody's
it
read
around
it,
our
right? It's a good
office.
check source.
Right,
So.
right, right.
Well,
So-
Pam, we've run out of our time, and you know, I just want to thank you for your years of service to our community and to the chamber. And like I said, don't think you're going too far. I know how to get a hold of you, and we're going to pull you in and make sure that you're still involved in our chamber and leading us in the right direction too. So, thank you for everything you do.
Thank
Appreciate
you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's it for us today, and hope you come back and see us next month. Thank you.